So before I actually start this video, I am going to give a little warning to the more liberal-minded people who watch my videos that you might be offended by this. So if you're not in the mood to be offended today, then maybe don't watch the video. But if you're normal, and if you're a communist, and if you're a Marxist-Leninist, or you're just watching the video because you're interested in what I have to say, then please stick around and, enjoy being a normal human being who's willing to have open dialogue. But I'm going to be talking about Pride. This is Pride Month. June is Pride Month. So you'll be seeing a lot of rainbow flags getting flown around, and you'll be seeing a lot of people dressed in very, very questionable outfits probably for the entirety of the month. Probably dyed hair of colours that you didn't even know existed. And yeah, pretty much people dancing in front of little children, shoving rainbow propaganda down their throat, metaphorically. That's essentially it. If you already don't like what I just have to say there, then go ahead and click off. I don't really care. This is my channel. I am going to use it to promote what I have to say. But I mean, yeah, I'm a normal person, and I don't support what's happening. And I think that it's important that people start to speak up. No one, a very, very small handful of people are speaking up in the left and in communist spaces, but nowhere near as many. And it seems like the poison of liberalism, the poison of what's happened, has gone into lots of communist spaces. And we're now seeing quite big and large self-proclaimed communists completely rejecting materialism and fully embracing idealistic thinking about gender, about society, about sexuality, and about what's actually important. Because let's be clear, these issues that we're talking about this month when it comes to Pride aren't really important. And let me explain that, because a lot of you here watching this might be thinking, well, William, you're wrong. There's a trans genocide going on. Trans people are being genocided. And, well, no, they're not. And let me explain. I mean, it's quite baffling to me how people can claim that the LGBT are an extremely oppressed and discriminated group, and how trans people are being genocided. It's all absolute bollocks. It's not true at all. In fact, this month proves that trans people are the most protected group of people on the planet. And the LGBT community, just generally, the LGBT community, yeah, they are one of the most protected and supported communities on the planet. They're backed by almost every corporation in the world, and they're backed by almost every Western government. They get billions of funding every single year. They are allowed to have an entire month to celebrate their sexual identities and their fetishes and their sexual ideas of the world. And it's just a liberal cesspit, and it's cringeworthy, it's embarrassing, and it's an absolute slap in the face to real issues that are facing in the world. We are living in a world where there are imperialist wars happening all the time. Even now, resources in foreign countries are being controlled by European and US companies. There's slave labor in Africa. There's sex trades and slave trades in Libya. There's civil war after civil war happening all over the world. The war in Ukraine hasn't even hit its peak yet. The denazification has just started increasing mobilization again, but it's nowhere near at the escalation point. There's new conflict in Sudan. The intensification of the conflicts in Yemen. And let's stop talking about war for a second. Let's just talk about poverty in general. Britain, up there, Britain is the only country in the G7 that hasn't yet rebounded economically from COVID. We are the only economy in the world that still has a smaller economy than what we were like in 2020. We are stagnating as an economy. 1 in 4 children in Britain are under the poverty line. It boils my blood that Pride, the LGBT community, get a whole month to shove their liberal fetishists down our throats. They're bourgeois liberal perversions of what the world is like or how they think the world should be. It actually boils my blood that they get to do that, and 1 in 4 children in Britain can't even get fed properly or clothed properly, or they need to freeze during the winter. 23,000 people in Britain froze to death last winter. We are the 5th largest economy in the world, and 23,000 people froze to death in their homes. Mostly elderly people, because they had been completely neglected by the government. They had no support at all. Most working class people in Britain can't afford to heat their homes. Luckily, it's summer now, so that won't really be necessary, but last winter people struggled to pay for gas and electricity to heat up their homes. And this is happening while our energy companies make mass profits. The SSE, one of the biggest British energy companies, they made record profits, while the net wealth of the working class decreased by about 17%. It's facts like that that really do just make your blood boil, because there are people in this country, millions, tens of millions of people in this country, that are genuinely worried about affording food and clothes to support their family. These people are worried about not buying certain brands of food and stuff. It's insane. Food bank usage. Food banks have a new record high. There's food banks being opened still all the time. Homelessness is on the rise. Unemployment is on the rise. Poverty is the worst it's been since probably the 1980s during the Thatcher era. There's mass strikes happening all the time. Even now, the bus drivers and train drivers are once again, for the 17th time in this decade, are thinking about going on strike. There are genuine, important problems happening in the world right now. And no, what we have in June is a whole distraction of that reality. A whole distraction that everything is going to be okay, and these corporations will change their logos and add the rainbow and spend billions and billions of pounds into LGBT and pride organisations, so middle class lunatics can shove their fetishes and liberal perversions down our throats, while the working class are crushed by the boot of capitalism. These infantiles are allowed to run around pretending that everything's okay. It boils my blood and it sickens me to the bone. And so no, as a communist, and as this is a communist channel, nowhere in the entire history of this channel will you ever see me promoting, defending, or advocating for the LGBT community and gender ideology and transgender ideology or pronoun usage. No, I will not be. I'm not going into that slippery slope. I'm not playing their games anymore. There's men, there's women, and there's workers. And if you're a working class person, I really don't care about your personal fetishes or your personal sexual life. I don't care about your sexual orientation, just like I don't care about your religious views. If you're a working class person, then you are a victim of capitalism, like we all are. And the working class is the revolutionary subject in this epoch of human society, and it will be socialism that negates capitalism. That's all I care about, and that is through the objective laws of history and society that Marx and Engels was very generous to teach us about the world and how the world works. And so yeah, that's what I'm sticking to. I'm just sticking to bread and butter, old school, old-fashioned communism, because that's what really matters. And this liberal delusion that everything's going to be okay and we can just paint stuff a rainbow is, well, we're in trouble. And it's a slippery slope to a very dystopian future. So thanks for watching. I hope next video is a little bit more cheery for you. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. Solidarity and comradeship to you all.